Right, guys, Croatia and France just played a 1-1 draw in the Nations League. And if I'm being honest, it was the very definition of slow burner. It took a while to get going. The first half, to be honest, was a tough watch. All that really happened was Shuameni bossed the midfield and Nkunku had a goal disallowed. It was a good finish, to be fair, from Nkunku. Chipped over the keeper and went in off the post. But other than that, and it was disallowed for offside. But other than that, though, there really wasn't much. Shuameni had a shot saved by the Croatian goalkeeper. Yeah, nothing other than that. And I think part of the problem was, so obviously France rested most of their best players. They had a weakened team. And I think Croatia rested quite a few players as well. But when I looked at Croatia's team, like the difference in level in different areas of the pitch was incredible, really. Like they had this brilliant midfield three of Modric, like one of the best midfielders in the world over the past decade. Kovacic, arguably one of the best midfielders in the Premier League currently, and Brozovic, who, he's a very good player for Inter Milan, and was very important to them winning Serie A last season. So yeah, that is a really good midfield. But then in attack, they had Josip Brekalo, but not much else really. And in defence, Domagoj Vida, but again, not much else. So there was a bit of a lacking quality in attack for Croatia. But in the second half, it got going a little bit. Adrien Rabiot put France in front when he was played through. He took it well. Went to the near post, so you've got to look at the goalkeeper a little bit there. I think he should have your near post covered. But then France seemed to sort of take their foot off the gas a little bit. They went for the counter-attacking style, and made a couple of subs. They brought Griezmann on, who had a good chance when he came on. He sort of pounced on a poor back pass from one of the Croatian defenders, nipped it past the keeper, but it took him to too tight an angle, and by then the defender got back on the line, and he pulled the shot quite badly wide of the goal. But Croatia did manage to get their equaliser, because they started to pile the pressure on with about half an hour to go, and their equaliser came from a ball played through to one of their attackers. I think it might have been Kramaric, who cut back inside, and one of the France defenders has come through the back of him. It was clumsy from the France defender. I think it might have been the sub who'd just come on. It might have been Klaus, and he's knocked him over. But there wasn't loads of contact like Kramaric, if it was him, made the most out of it. That's for sure. And then we had a ridiculously long VAR check. It was at least 2 or 3 minutes, and Kramaric eventually got to take the penalty. And I think another referee might make him retake it on another day, because that was one massive stutter on the way to on the run up to taking the penalty. Like, it's a bit unfair on the goalkeeper when you do that, because Magnon, who made some brilliant saves for France, by the way, towards the end of the game, has already pretty much dived. He's already showed you where he's going to go. So you just have half an open goal to put it in, which is not right. I think on another day that probably gets retaken, that penalty. But yeah, it finished 1-1. And once again, though, France they lost their first group game to Denmark, and they've drawn tonight against Croatia. They were the massive favourites for this group. There's some good teams in this group. Don't get me wrong. Denmark and Croatia are both capable sides, as well as Austria. They're not bad either. They beat Croatia the other night, in fact. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. France have only managed to pick up a point from their first two games. But I haven't expected much about their team tonight. It was heavily weakened. I think out of all the players they had in their 11, I think Kimpembe, Pavard, Shiramani, they're probably the only players that start in France's best 11, to be honest. Um, yeah. In fact, they definitely are. But what was interesting though is there are two players in their starting 11 who actually spent the season on loan away from Arsenal in Guendouzi and Saliba. They've both had good seasons by all accounts at Marseille, I think. So it'd be interesting to see what Arsenal do with them next season because Arsenal, now they're back in Europe, obviously it's Europa League, not Champions League as they would have wanted. That they are going to need a bigger squad for next season, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with these two players because they're good players, but I think the problem with Guendouzi in particular has been like an attitude problem. And Saliba still hasn't actually played a game for Arsenal yet. I don't think he's had 3 years out on loan now. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest game ever, but wasn't the worst game ever. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.